Veteran tattoo artist Corey Miller has been tattooing since the 1980s. As a young punk rock kid, he formed early, lasting relationships that molded his tattooing career. His shop, 6 Feet Under, has been a staple in Upland, California since 1997. Join us as we chop it up about his tattoo career, music, and a TV show that pushed him further into the stratosphere of tattoo culture. Was art your thing, man? Were you like the type of kid that was constantly drawing, doodling, that kind of stuff?
My mom used to tell me I could draw. And I remember being a kid, and I think my mom a little bit would prod me a little bit. Or you'd like to watch Popeye, and that dude, he would sit there and do that little sketch.
Yeah.
And someone would send in a scribble, and they would make something out of it. You know, and that was always fascinating. But I liked art. Yeah, I like drawing and stuff like that more than I ever liked football or anything or sports. You know, as a kid, I just remember, you liked Evel Knievel, Muhammad Ali. Those were your cultural things as a kid. But I was never into sports, and I did like to draw. And then once it started into my early teenage years, at the time it was popular for guys to draw on jackets and shit.
Yeah.
So I remember early on some of my first art that somebody actually asked you to do. And the only reason they asked you to do art back then, I think we used to have these peachy folders. It was a little folder in high school. And people would draw. You'd sit there and doodle. God knows I wasn't paying attention in school. I'd just be drawing and doodling. So, yeah, I always liked sketching and drawing.
Right on.
And so when I was a young kid, seeing my first tattoos on friends and stuff like that, it was just an instant, like, oh, I can draw, so I could probably do something like that. Yeah, so yeah, I always liked art a little bit. You know?
Right on. I'm always curious about that background because you got guys that are like, no, not really. And then you got guys that are like, I went to art school. So it's always like, I like to see where that comes from.
You know, it's funny. I just found the other day, I was down in the old garage at my old house, a box that's been in there for maybe at least 18 years. And there were some old drawings in it. And sure as shit, one of the first drawings I drew when I started getting interested in tattooing. And I must have been, 16, just by the stuff that's on it.
Right.
There's a couple of punk rock logos and a black flag and stuff like that. But anyways, right in the middle of it's a skull. And I showed my daughter, well, Chloe, check this out. And it's a skull, and it's just got the features of a light bulb.
Nice.
It's just so simple and plain. Just for me at that moment, it's like, wow, that's growth.
Right.
It's like, I was just so into it. I wanted to draw a skull, but no training whatsoever.
Right on.
Tattooing has trained me and taught me how to be an artist.
Right.
But it was really cool to look back at that thing, and it must have been from at least 1982 or something like that.
I was trying to do a little like background with you and stuff like that. You started kind of tattooing yourself, right?
Yeah. In the early 80s in LA and Ontario, Upland, where I'm at. I've lived in Upland for quite a while. It's a little suburb. We're about 40 minutes east of LA. I was in a punk rock band in 1983, and we were playing a bit. I'd been in a couple bands, and I'd seen, some of your friends at that age start getting into trouble, and some go to juvenile hall, and tattoos are introduced. And the punk rock scene, and people, who was out there at the time was Bob Roberts. He was like the main guy. He was, and the Asian, there was some Chinese people that owned a shop on Hollywood Boulevard. Sunset Strip tattoo was there, but it was kind of associated with like the rockers and shit, so we wanted to stay the fuck away from that. Bob Roberts was like the epitome of that. But anyways, getting a little ahead of myself, I was in a band. I remember I couldn't drive yet, so I'd get dropped off. I got my drums and me dropped off there. And man, I was at that house. I ate over there more than I ate at home. It was like the house where the singer lived, and we all practiced there. And I wanted to get in this band, and I had like my first practice with them. And they had this little insignia, this little design, a little MY. So we practiced, and I knew I was good. I knew I had the gig. I didn't know it was a gig back then. I knew I was going to be able to play drums for this band.
Right.
But they had this little insignia, and DJ had one tattooed on his arm. So, I'm 15 years old. They're up in his room drinking, and they always drink whiskey. They were all alcoholics. Went up there, and I got a little razor blade. I just decided in my mind, I'm going to fucking tattoo that thing on me.
Oh, wow.
So, and I did, man. I got a straight pin first, and I started poking it and rubbing ink. And my best friend Teddy was was his older brother. And Teddy's like, yeah, let's do it. We could do it. We'll get a needle. And we started doing it. I'm like, man, this is going to take forever. So I just got an old rusty razor blade out, and I hacked that fucker right in there. And that was my first tattoo on myself. And it was a punk rock design. It was the insignia of our band.
Has it since been covered over?
Fuck no.
No, you still have it?
Yeah.
Right on,
Oh,
dude.
yeah. That's right here on my hip. And I added a 9 to it years later when my buddy died. But we were a good band. Like, we played with our heyday. We played with Suicidal Tendencies. We played with, right before I got in the band, they played with Social Distortion, but like at a backyard party in Chino. Played with Fear.
Yeah.
We were on our way. We were pretty notoriously bad. I was the kid.
Right.
I was the young kid.
Right.
And they were all a couple years older. And when you're 15 and you got a 21-year-old hanging around, you're doing good because you got someone to buy beer.
Yeah, yeah.
And even as a kid in my teenage years, Steve Alba was from out here. The Pipeline Skate Park was the only thing that put Upland on the map. It was a skateboard park. So there was Steve Alba and Louis Beso, and they were like 3 or 4 years older than us. So they were going to Hollywood, and Steve saw like the Germs and shit like that, and early punk rock bands, and they were getting turned on to the early music and kind of bringing it home to us. And we had Toxic Shock Records in Pomona, California. The punk scene was pretty good out here.
Right on, right on.
I mean, and again, some people say the '80s punk scene was the end of it. To me, it was the heyday. It was fucking awesome.
The asshole purists.
It's the same shit with tattooing.
Yeah.
It's the same fucking shit.
Yep. Nah, man, I'm right there with you, though. I think that the 80s, that era, it could be just your personal preference or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Seeing the Dead Kennedys and the Circle Jerks on the same bill, the Hollywood Palladium. And, oh, my God, we would go out there and pile like 7 or 8 dudes in the little Toyota and roll out there and panhandle. And if you could get, I think a ticket back then was, $12 tops to see like 8 bands. And you buy a hit of acid for $8, and you didn't need nothing.
Yeah.
You just needed to find your way home.
Nice.
After a night of
debauchery,
fun shit. But I remember, it's so funny. The punk scene with me was really, I don't know. It's it was all encompassing. And it's funny. I'm 58 now. I still play punk rock. Me and Salva have been in a band for 20 something years. My best friend that I grew up with, this little kid, Black Vince Dennis, a little black kid from Pomona. We were playing punk rock when I was 14 years old, right before I got in the other band, Manson Youth. I was in a band, Degenerates. Vince is still one of my dearest friends. He's the bass player of Body Count.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny, I think, it's a kind of a unique thing. Like, you go in my house, right in the living room, you walk in, I got a drum set.
Nice.
And some fucking amps.
Yeah.
And I've tattooed for just about every musical instrument you can name. Why not? I'm just a drummer, but I've traded for guitars, basses, horns, whatever, just because I just love them, But flash forward, I still play in a band with Steve Alba.
Okay.
And Salva's got to be 62 now. I'm 58, and dude, we still get in there. We'll bust out the Ramones. We'll play Dead Kennedys. We play our own brand of shit.
Dude, I'm about to turn 52, man, and I just saw Murphy's Law and Agnostic Front at the First Unitarian Church in Philly.
Yeah. It's still, the scene is good, If you think when we were young, Zeppelin was just already, in the 90s, Zeppelin was like 20 years old. Fuck, think about that. And Nirvana was kind of the later scene. It wasn't really the heart root punk rock scene. Nirvana was the 90s, of course. But they've been gone for longer than Zeppelin was even around when we were kids. It's just such a weird perspective.
Yeah.
And if you kind of focus on it, you remind yourself that when you get caught up in all that shit of liking things and your ideas and cultures and keeping them in a box, it's pretty stupid because the world passes you right by while you ain't even paying attention.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The other part of that is that for me, like the handshake between music and tattoos.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the
decline of Western civilization. Remember, it was X. They were all sitting around hand poking each other, doing these horrible little tattoos.
Yeah.
And but that was cooler than shit. That was probably, if I really think about it, other than seeing my grandfather having a little black rose on his arm, that's probably one of the initial things.
Yeah.
Then my buddy Jerbo, Jerry, he was a good friend of mine. We grew up together through punk rock. As we turned into older teenagers, he was a little older, and he was going out to Hollywood. He was always the one driving us to gigs, so he would take us to Bob Roberts.
Right.
So, like, I remember I was 15 years old, 16, mostly 15, 16. I remember, and I can date this shit because Leo Zulueta worked there in 1983, and it was the old shop. It was right next door, and Leo had this, he had an 83 Harley Davidson. It was the only year they made that little black cafe racer bike.
Okay.
And again, I didn't even know I was going to be into Harleys and shit. I'm still a fucking teenage punk rock kid. Definitely wasn't cool. That's why I got into punk rock. My parents were a little dysfunction at home, divorce, so I was running amok, you know,
right.
and enjoying every minute of it.
Nice.
You know, just like
Nice.
finding, it had a tinge of something in me that I definitely veered towards the kids that were getting into more shit.
Yeah, man. Well, it's you find your like little brother.
Yeah, or my big brothers, you know.
Yeah.
And Jerry was always there with that, you know, and he would drive us out to Bob Roberts. And it's funny because Bob, I'm sure you know Bob Roberts, he's a legend in our industry, in the tattoo industry.
I did an awesome episode if you want to watch it.
On Bob?
Yes, sir.
No shit. Did you interview him?
No, man. It was I did a full blown history episode, and then when I got it done, where I felt like it was finished, I actually ran it past Shane Enholm.
Oh,
'Cause
nice.
him and Shane
Yeah,
were
him
real
and
tight.
Shane are real tight. Yeah.
And then I just finally met Charlie the other day. He actually gave me props and said he loved it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And Charlie's just a world of knowledge. You know, Charlie hasn't done a lot of stuff like that. But, oh my God, that's great. Like, Bob's one of my favorite guys, period, because I remember going out there, and it's funny with a lot of people say Bob is such a mean, crabby bastard. He was, but I never really, I seen him do that, and he's even fucked with me at times. But I've always known Bob as a sweet guy because imagine this, being 15, your homie's out there bringing him weed. And he's buying weed. So, hey, fellas, how's the Inland Empire?
Yeah, yeah.
He's always, hey, how you doing? You know, like, and while he's barking at everybody else. I remember at that time, Leo worked there. Joe Vegas was a young teenager learning how to tattoo in there. Another fucking great motherfucker, you know. I hadn't seen Joe in quite a few years, and I just saw him a couple months ago in Amsterdam. And it takes you back to those moments. And I remember being in awe of him there.
Yeah.
Because he was this kid. I was like, dude, that's a punk rocker. That's like one of us working in there. That's my vision. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And then I'm seeing this black Harley Davidson and this guy that's all, you know, Islander. Leo's this Filipino dude, but he looks like he just crept out of the jungle.
Yeah.
You know, and another person who I know and love to this day. I love Leo. So anyway, so it was neat meeting Bob back then, but it was all through punk rock, you know, and friends like that. And those guys are still my best friends. Salba and Vince and my old bandmates, some of them.
Right.
You know, a lot of those guys too, you cut ties with. Sometimes you do. I did.
For sure.
I cut ties with a lot of people. I'm no better than them in any way, shape, or form. But sometimes you got to cut ties with people.
You just grow apart.
To stay. Well, and it's usually drugs. It was with me.
Yeah.
You know, those kinds of decisions in life. I still like them and everything, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Where was the transition into you starting to get like, all right, man, I want to do this tattoo thing?
Well, I remember doing that hand poke tattoo. I might have even went to Bob's before I ever did that tattoo on me, so that might have exposed me to a lot. I remember going to Bob's, and all I had seen was little hand-done tattoos, and there was this guy named Franco that used to be downtown. He opened a tattoo shop in 1978 down on Holt Boulevard.
Okay.
A couple blocks down from my house. And it's a real seedy area. I mean, I didn't know what seedy was yet. I learned about seedy when I started hanging out in Franco's every day.
Okay.
So going around Bob's, I'm seeing this stuff, and then I did that tattoo on myself, and my buddy wanted one. So I started hand poking on my friend, and I said, I think I could do this better. I've heard people make, you know, there's this guy in my apartments. He lived by me, and he was an old jailbird, a friend of mine's older brother, and I would watch him. I don't know, dude. I look back and I laugh like, what made you go fucking hang around these motherfuckers? Because I'd shit if my kids were hanging around fucking ex-felon,
Right.
drug addicts. Well, Carl was fucking a nasty bastard. He used to tell me straight up, you and your friends got dope or anything, bring around. I'll tattoo you, or I'll tattoo him. You know, I'm like, yeah. I never got tattooed by Carl. But Carl had a street machine, little rotary, like a tape player, tape deck machine. They bend the toothbrush, mount a Bic pen on there. I knew a couple of those dudes that street tattooed. There was a guy named Billy Watt that was from the neighborhood, and he was a total heroin addict. Nicest fucking guy ever. And I knew him for quite a few years. As I transitioned into a pro, he could never get out of that. He always kept that straight thing, but he kept going to jail too. And he died, and then his son died. And I don't know if his son died, but that curse followed his family. But he was a really talented guy. Anyways, back to that. Somehow, I don't know how in the fuck I did it, and I've never seen one. And Lyle, I grew to know Lyle. Me and Lyle were very tight. And I don't think Lyle had ever even heard of a machine that was made the way I had made one. I went home and I knew there was some kind of motor inside of a fish pump. So I tore a fish pump apart, and inside of a fish pump, the thing that makes the bubbles in it, in your little fish tank, is a little square coil. So now, as an experienced artist, I didn't know what a coil was, but now I know. I could build a machine. Electromagnetic coil, it's a square coil, and it has this rubber nipple on top, and it went up and down, and it pumped air. So, sure shit, I just mounted a little piece of plastic to the top of that nipple, hooked a fucking guitar string off of that, did the whole bent toothbrush thing, just wrapped it with black tape, got the guitar string, got some India ink at class, and I made a fucking tattoo machine. And this thing plugged right into the fucking wall. So I was pretty lucky I didn't electrocute myself. But we weren't using gloves or soap or nothing. We was like, yeah, get some water, get some fucking Windex, you know?
Jesus. Yeah, man.
I don't know if I used Windex, but you didn't know.
Right,
You didn't know shit at all. And that's what was funny. I used to think it was so original growing up, maybe in my 20s, thinking, wow, I'm so unique. But you know what? Growing up, I met tons of dudes that did the same exact shit. We ain't that unique, man. We all got our little same story. It's a little different, but it's kind of humbling. You just talk about Perfect. He's a drummer too in the punk rock scene. He probably came up the same way I did. And he's he's on the other coast. Like he's where you're from. You know, and that's what's so cool and pure about tattooing. It just comes to us. It's like it's in our genetics. It's in our you know what I mean? It's in our blueprint.
It always blows my mind because, you know, I guess when I started really digging into this, you know, everybody was preaching about, you got to do an apprenticeship at a shop, you got to do this. And then you find out a lot of these old guys, they were like self-taught, did it in their kitchen, figured out how to do it, and then figured out their way to get into do apprenticeships and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
You know, I used to hear all that apprenticeship stuff, and I always kind of felt like an outcast, and I still do. Fuck, dude, I came up with Mahoney, Mark Mahoney, fucking Jack Rudy, and, you know, that circle, the Tattoo Land crowd, and all the great tattooers that came under Jack in Good Time Charlie's, and meeting Charlie as a young man and having a friendship with him all these years. I've still felt like an outcast because I never apprenticed until I got a little older and realized how full of shit some of these people are. Like these guys preaching, oh, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way, and they never did it that way either. A lot of this shit's that rat down mentality, like in prison. I mean, a rat's a rat, you know, and if you want to be a bad person, just be one and don't be a rat, because that's one of them rules with it. But the reality of that, youngsters figure out when they go in there, oh, them fuckers are ratting down from the top down, and everybody who listens to them and telling them what they can and can't do, well, then I guess you can and can't do that shit. I never been one to listen to that shit. And you can do that with respect.
Yeah.
You know, it's a trippy, you know, I know I jump forward all over the place, but it's kind of, I want to stay on that track. The whole punk rock scene, Mark Mahoney, my buddy Jerry started getting tattooed from Mark Mahoney.
Okay.
Mark's a great tattooer that probably came from the East Coast, came out here to Long Beach.
Yeah.
Got into that Tattoo Land circle doing the really fine black and gray shit. Back in the day, Mark could do the best pinups, cars, choppers. He was just a fucking great tattooer. But he wasn't doing that shit out of Tattoo Land. He was getting in trouble and shit and always working on the street. So Jerbo would have him come out to our place, our house, and tattoo. And we'd get a little bag of tricks, get some goodie party favors, just like I asked you if you need anything when you come. You know, it's just like a habit. You know, we learned this as a kids. And but Mark Mahoney, again, at the time, well, he was this cool dude. Looking back, oh, fuck, I was around this righteous fucking great part of tattooing. So I was very lucky to get it, but Mark was always into the punk rock scene too. Like he was friends with the guys from TSOL and Fear. He had drawn their album logo, but he was just a dude tattooing in the fucking back room at the house,
Right.
where they sold dope and shit, and we played punk rock and went to shows, and everybody got away before. Back then it wasn't just going to show. It was like typically running from the cops at the end of the night, and someone went to jail.
Yeah.
I was always my instincts kept me out of so much shit, man. And choices,
Right.
But anyways, meeting Mark back then was really cool. And he was ahead. He partied. And we admired that shit. And then Mark was working on and off at Tattoo Land. And he was working at Fat George's at the time. So that was how so jump from 15, 16, 17, 18, through high school, I was tattooing.
Right.
I remember, I don't remember what year it was, probably right after high school, TSOL was playing out here behind a little place we had, the Green Door. Looking back, I think what a great opportunity. And I remember going over there, and they're in the hotel where all the bands would stay in the hotel behind the thing. And it wasn't me, it was my older homies that had the hookups, but I was the cool kid. Hey, Corey, get over here, bring your tattoo shit.
Yeah.
TSOL's over here. So I remember tattooing the singer and tattooing Mike Roach. I did this thing on him. Years and years later, it's like, yeah, buddy. I'm like, oh, Mike, cover that thing. What do you mean? I love this tattoo. I'm like, oh, fuck,
Nice.
That's one of the bad things about tattooing for a lot of years.
You get to see
a lot of the first ones sucked.
Yeah. I heard somebody, I don't remember who it was, but they were always like, yeah, man, you run into people that have a couple of your first ones, and you're like, oh, man.
They don't get better unless someone fucking covers them,
Yeah.
But hey, it is what it is,
I think I heard that Mahoney introduced you to Fat George.
Well, yeah, I went out and I would go out to Mark's, and he was working at George's, and I would go out there and ask for a job from George. See, I was asking Mark, I was showing him my shit. Hey, Mark, what do you think? Oh, yeah, that's cool, little brother. You should probably stick to construction. Tattooing's horrible. It's a horrible business.
Right.
Stay away,
The old school guys trying to push you away.
That's just the way they fucking do it.
Yeah,
Yeah. And they're good.
They don't want the new people coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
So anyways, looking back, I was joking. Well, that don't look so cool doing it, bro. But anyways, Mark probably knew I was decent. Mark's, he knows I'm a good tattooer. Fuck, I know he's a great tattooer. He was just a huge part of my upcoming. So anyways, Mark was working at George's. This was like 1987.
Okay.
I was about 20. And I remember starting at George's because I was 20. Because when I turned 21, it was no big deal because we could buy beer at the Mexican market next door when I was 20 anyway. So I didn't need a fucking ID.
Yeah.
So it was like, it kind of took the thrill away, Anyways, I started working at George's. And that was a whole nother story. It's funny, I always repeat it, but going in there over and over and over and just getting insulted by George. Like, no, we don't need anybody. Fuck that. What are you, deaf? Ask again. I told you no, motherfucker. Who's this motherfucker? Half the time talking out of the side of his neck, which is just pissing you off. Anyways, disrespectful as fuck. And I'm like, damn, this guy's a dick. But I sure wanted to work there. It was a funny thing how I got in there, though. I'd been asking Mark. I don't even know if Mark was telling him. Mark made the introduction like, hey, this is Corey, tattoos, he wants a job. And maybe that's all he said, but it was like the third time I'm like, hey, Mark, has George said anything? And Mark ain't trying to bust down no doors to get me in there. Nobody was.
Right.
If anything, they were discouraging you. They were putting roadblocks up. That's just the way it was. Doesn't even bug me. If I was a pussy, I would have fucking shut down and went and did something else.
How much of that, though, do you think it was them testing you? To see if you really fucking
I don't
wanted
know. Let's see. Looking back, as much as I've grown, I don't even know if it was them testing me or if it was just a habit. Because they've broke all those rules too.
I got you.
Fuck them if they say they haven't. They're full of shit. That's the big hypocrisy in this game. And a lot of the, flash forward a few years, many years later, 20 years later, I'm going on TV. Fuck, them guys had a fit. They were so unhappy about it. It's like, motherfucker, you're in the movies. Jack, are you kidding me? You were on fucking PBS in the 70s. That's like the fucking internet times 20. That was information. All the magazines, it's that whole rat den mentality. It's the top guys telling you not what to do. And again, I ain't pissing on it or dissing them. That's the way a lot of things are, dude, And I get it why, they want to protect this thing. But I think a lot of them were just doing it because that's what they were heard. That's the shit they learned from the Pike and the older guys. Because older dudes, the older generation saw what's happening, and more talented guys kept getting into the business. And more functional people, I think.
Okay.
So, Mark liked me. If he didn't like me, we wouldn't be hanging out. I wouldn't be going run around with him. So I was out there, and I was always going out there trying to get tattooed by Mark too. One day on a fucking total accident, I knew what was going on because I was Mark's friend. Mark was going to open up a shop on 3rd Street in Hollywood, his first Shamrock tattoo.
Right.
That was probably like 1988, 87, 88. Yeah, probably was, I don't know, somewhere right around there. Anyways, I'd heard about this, and I always been handy with a hammer and shit, and I was thinking, fuck, I could even help Mark build his walls and help him out. Because I built Tattoo Land for Jack Rudy. I built all his walls and his rooms. I built the wall for Dave Shore up in Vancouver, Canada. I built stairs for Suzanne Fowler in front of her house in Michigan as I was a tattooer.
Right on.
I've always given that gift,
of
being able to do that. So anyways, I accidentally asked Mark, like, hey, man, George just fucks me off every time. What if can I come work with you in Hollywood? And I asked him right in front of George, and George didn't know Mark was going to leave, so I dry ratted Mark on accident. And Mark said, what shop in Hollywood? And Mark said, oh yeah, George, I found this spot I was going to tell you, this beautiful place, checkerboard floors, And George he just stopped listening to him, and he looks at me and goes, you can start Saturday. And that's how I got in. After being told fuck off and totally being rude to, tell me, get the fuck out of here, you deaf fucking retard, everything. He was a dick. George was one of the most fucking little short assholes you ever fucking meet. He liked me. I liked him too, but he was just a prick. Rick Walters taught him how to tattoo. Rick Walters from the Pipe fame. Again, another funny thing in life. It wasn't until I was probably maybe in my 40s, I asked Rick, you've always been so good to me, man. Why have you always been so nice to me? So what do you mean? You're a good tattooer, blah, blah. Yeah, but you've been cool to me forever. Well, you're my grandson. I go, I know, you've called me that before. And I've never asked him why.
And it didn't click.
I figure if he's calling me grandson, it's like, fuck it, I'm just going to shut the fuck up. Because he did it with a smile. It didn't look like his grandson he wanted to beat up. So it wasn't for years later I asked Rick why he called me grandson. He said, well, I taught George how to tattoo, and he taught you, so you're my grandson. The truth is, George did not teach me how to tattoo. George was a terrible tattooer. But I didn't say shit. I said, cool enough, I'll take it.
Right.
Another blessing in my career.
That's one of the things I loved about tattoo history.
Yeah.
Is when you start looking into the lineage of the family trees of some tattoo artists, and you go, there's people could go all the way back to Charlie Wagner. Their tree branches that far back.
Yeah, and who he taught and who that fucking branched off to.
Yeah.
This girl just called me out of the blue the other day. I feel bad I don't remember her name, but I forget everybody's names a lot. And she said she was Suzanne Fowler's great-granddaughter. I go, what do you mean? Suzanne didn't have kids. She goes, in tattooing. I go, oh, so Jody's apprentice must have taught you. And she goes, yeah. And I just did the math right there. Yeah, Suzanne had an apprentice back in probably like 89.
Right.
I started visiting Ann Arbor. Jody was her apprentice. So this girl, just out of the blue, Jody's apprentice had taught this girl, which is very more common these days. You got people who've been tattooing. Look what I discovered. Tattoo, I'll teach everybody. It's like, it's just what happened. How are you going to stop it? Anyways, she loves it enough to fucking reach out to me because she knew I was friends with Suzanne, and she thought I wouldn't even want to talk to her, like blah, blah, blah. Well, what the fuck? But she still called. And we sat and chopped it up. She probably had to tell me to get out. Like, oh, I got to go. But she was super nice, and she just wanted to know about Suzanne. She was a great tattooer.
Right.
She learned how to tattoo probably in the late 70s. She was a school teacher for Ann Arbor, Michigan. She said, fuck it. Some people inspired her. She went to fucking Hollywood, quit being a teacher. She had her master's degree in art, was a high school teacher.
Wow.
Goes to LA. I hooked up with Robert Benedetti, Cliff Raven, some of those guys.
Yeah.
And learned how to tattoo. And she was a badass, and she went back to Ann Arbor. So when she was in Ann Arbor, around the same time, so I get that job at Fat George's Tattoo Gallery. This is in La Puente, California, about halfway from here to LA, the fucking hood.
Right.
And I'm a little white boy punk rocker in a fucking gangster neighborhood. It was cool. It was kind of scary too. I'll just be admit it. You know, you say, oh yeah, it was cool. Fuck that. It fucking wasn't my scene. It was, you know, I'm half Mexican, half white, but we were never Chicanos. So it was just a whole different scene. But I had friends going in and out of jail, so I know how to get along. And I was a tattooer. I was hanging out at a tattoo shop since I was 15. So all the drugs and all the bullshit, even at Franco's, that was the first time I ever saw what a hooker was. You know, this is the chick that walks by, yeah, she's working. We figured all that out, and then drugs and trouble and all kinds of, I've had such a bitchin' education, and I don't read, you know, but it's all come from the shop. But George's was very much like that, very gangster. One night, a guy named Dick Warsaki, he was a tattooer from Nebraska, a great tattooer, and he was working for Jack at Tattoo Land, and he came in, and he used to do this beautiful Indian artwork. And it was just the magic of tattooing. He happened to walk in this night that I'm doing this big old Indian on a guy. A big Indian tattoo. It was a really good one. It's so crazy. I used to rarely ever take pictures. For some reason, I took pictures of that tattoo. And it's in the Tattoo Land back. Good Time Charlie's book. If you look in the back, there's me doing an Indian. I was a kid, long hair. Well, anyways, Dick Warsaki comes in. And I didn't know who this guy was. I thought Warsaki was like some real Indian dude. He didn't know he's a little fucking biker Polak, redheaded dude. Warsaki's a Polak. He's not Indian.
Yeah.
So he fucking sees me or discovers me as he acted like, he says, you got to meet Jack. I go, Jack who? He's like, Jack Rudy. I'm all, how do you know Jack? I'm Dick. Oh, you're Dick Warsaki. Man, that's a badass tattoo. I'm all, thank you. All of that shit. In that conversation, he invites me to a fucking tattoo show in New Orleans. I said, fuck yeah, I'll go. Went out there and slept on the floor in his room.
Nice.
And it was Ace's tattoo show in New Orleans. First time I ever jumped on an airplane, went by myself. Went out there and tattooed with Dick. You know what? I didn't tattoo there. I didn't tattoo on the floor. I tattooed up in my room. But that was such the beginning of shit. But the thing is with Dick knew he was going to be leaving Tattoo Land.
Okay.
So he introduced me to Jack. So when I finally met Jack Rudy for the first time, I had heard of Jack Rudy because Mark Mahoney worked there. And Jack was just like, oh, wow, in the magazines. And Jack was this amazing tattooer. I met him, and he hired me on the spot. He said, why don't you quit that fat fuck George? Fat bastard, he called him. And I'm like, fuck, like these guys all know each other. Should I stick up for George right now? Like, he's totally motherfucking my boss. Like, is this a test?
Yeah.
Do I say something in George's defense? And I'm thinking, nah, George is an asshole. He knows him. So I just let that go over my shoulder, and he offered me a fucking job. So that was that, man. I remember going out to fucking New Orleans and meeting all kinds of amazing people, all because of Dick Warsaki. And I started at Tattoo Land, and then Dick took me to the East Coast to go work in Suzanne's shop one winter.
Okay.
And that was the first time I ever experienced that winter shit. By the way, Philadelphia, we're in California right now. It's December, and it's fucking like 80 degrees outside and sunshiny. You know, it rains here. It fucking pours. It does. It was bullshit, but we do got good weather. That's one good thing.
For sure.
But anyways, yeah, and that kind of all the way back then, dude, late 80s, I started tattooing at Tattoo Land. I think I started there in 88 or 89 at Fat George, at Tattoo Land. Probably 89. And only worked there for a couple years.
So when you were there, though, it was you, Jack?
Me, Jack, Creeper, and Danny Romo, and Dick Warsaki.
Okay. You know, man, it blows my mind how, like, Creeper and Warsaki, like, very well known amongst tattoo.
And Mike Brown. I can't believe I forgot Mike Brown. It's like this. It's always been that. Mike's always been this great. Actually, to me, Mike Brown and Jack were like this. Yeah. Like right next to each other. Maybe Jack a little higher, but Mike always had that dark cloud, the addiction. He was an addict. Yeah. But the coolest motherfucker. Oh my God, he taught me, because no one was gonna teach you shit. Mark Mahoney, he taught me the little wave, the little line where I used to draw a line straight, a name. He said, oh no, I'm just got to do it like this. Right. I don't know if he said it was the Mike Brown thing or the Tattoo Land thing. And it was just this cool little wave where all that script came from. And that's why I started doing it. And that's one of those, aside from that, and I remember one time Mark telling me something about rubber bands on the machine. And back then we were just starting to use, only the stretching hand, but never the machine hand with gloves. We still weren't even using gloves. Wow. George didn't even use gloves till 88, 89. By the time late 87, 88, we started using gloves.
Right.
But I remember when Mahoney, just not the tattoo hand, just the stretching hand. It's funny.
It's crazy if you think about it.
Yeah.
You know? And I know, like Cliff was one of the first ones that really started to adopt that, like, full tilt. Cliff Raven.
Cliff Raven, yeah.
You know, he was real into the whole, you know, making sure everything was super clean. And he worked with some doctor or whatever to try to create like a sterile environment for surgery.
Who was it? Rick Sperry or Keith Sperry? He came onto the scene and they formed the APT, Alliance of Professional Tattooers, and that's actually still going on. And I feel bad because I remember telling some people I would get involved with that again. I'm just really administratively dysfunctional. I should be involved with that. But those things are good. You know, for all those years before, fuck the health departments. We policed ourselves and took care of shit. And this fucking hype about all the inks and how unhealthy is fucking bullshit. They're just fucking trying to market and capitalize and keep people there. I know there is some fucking things to it, but, you know,
I think it's
a
the
whole
bigger,
other fucking ball of wax.
Yeah, I think what that is the bigger companies trying to gobble up the smaller companies, and they're pushing that out. And that's an angle of working it so they get to capitalize on the market.
Flash down the early 90s. I remember Dennis Dwyer and J.D. Crowe started doing the tattoo tours. They were great tattoo shows, great tattooers at them. Again, my younger age, so I was like in awe of all this great shit, you know. National was out there doing their things. But I remember at one point, Dennis Dwyer, great tattooer. He was a supplier, made his own machines. Dwyer, goddamn, I think Dennis just recently passed. But anyways, at one point, he was making these sinks. And they were these hand-washing sinks, and they would go in every station. And the back of my head, I'm like, man, fuck that. We got a sink right there, 2 feet away. Who don't wash their fucking hands? Like, motherfucker, wash your fucking hands. Like, you're assuming everybody knows that. And I know there's some filthy fucks. And, you know, George was like that. He was terrible, dirty. But anyways, back at that, Dennis was like preaching about how they love the business and moving us forward, but that motherfucker just wanted to make money. He wanted to sell a sink to every fucking tattooer he knew. And at the time, there weren't even that many. This industry had, since the 90s, it hasn't doubled. It's like 100 doubles, and then it turns into 150, or 50 doubles, and it turns to 100, then it turns to 150, then it grows to 200, then it grows to 250, then to 300. It's not like that with tattooing. 50 grew to 100, then 100 flipped and grew into 200, and then 200 flipped and grew into 400.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just really, not that you're asking, but that's my opinion on how this shit kind of blew up. But it's not just tattooing, it's everything. It's in computers, and accessibility is why. It's motorcycle trade. It's cooking.
Yeah.
You know, there was old grandmas had fucking recipes, motherfuckers. They weren't going to give up that apple pie recipe, just like your speed dealer ain't going to give his recipe up for cooking dope. It was that mentality, a little extreme comparison there.
It's true.
But now it's all fucking, the internet is, look what I know.
And then, dude, I mean, you just said it though, but even with like cooking, you just said it, right?
Bike making, motorcycles, cooking.
There's a channel that is cooking 24/7. So,
and then here's this other thing. I used to be a carpenter, and the carpenters in the 70s, I'm not that old, but my father was at the time. Crazy bastard. Carpenters in California were some of the best carpenters. The East Coast, the craftsmanship was amazing, but in California, it really boomed because of the weather, and carpenters could work fucking 10 months out of the year.
Yeah.
Back there, they could only work so slow. So again, just like the tattoo, it blossomed and blew up. But here's a weird thing about it. With that internet shit, there's all this information. There's also a bunch of fucking guys that have this information and they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. But hey, man, if they look cool and they're confident, they're saying it, and it's on that little fucking holy screen, and it's fucking real, and it's scripture. So, what are you going to do? You ain't going to stop it. No, I'm going to insist that this is the way.
Yeah.
Personally, but there's guys that are tattooers and that do a lot of other shit. But that's where guys like you come into the picture. You don't tattoo, right?
They do not tattoo.
But you love tattooing, and you are helping this. And I'm not fussing in the bad way. You're helping this move forward in a good way, because just because we're tattooers doesn't mean we know how to talk to people or have the administrative skills or the technical skills to run all this shit. I mean, not to say I can't do that. I've done I can do all kinds of shit. But it's good that like you're doing what you're doing because you're bringing all these truths out. And sometimes you're going to, some of my closest friends are going to say something with utmost confidence, and it's bullshit too. I came up with, right?
Yeah.
I came up with the kings of the bullshitters and the kings of the haters. Oh my God, Jack really hated on everything. God bless him.
He, you know what? I met Jack.
Not as much later in life.
But I met Jack in Norfolk, and it was probably 5-6 months before he passed.
Oh, yeah. I was there.
And he was very standoffish at first. And then I said, hey, man, I know RC, and RC and you, back and forth used to tattoo each other and stuff. And, RC? And then the wall kind of came down.
Of course.
And he was super cool with me, man. And it was a really cool experience. And he really talked to me about the Tattoo Heritage Project and, what he was trying to do. And, and then he was like, hey, man, I know you do history, dude. Why don't you donate $20 and buy a shirt so I want to. And I said, oh, yeah, well, Jack, if you got fat guys. Oh, I got fat guy sizes, bro. And I was like.
Jack is one of the guys that's marketed off that for years. He was always the one to see a big dude. Hey, homie. Hey, get over here. Look what I got. And he always marketed it.
And matter of fact, I wore that shirt yesterday when I fucking interviewed Good Time Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
So, man, it was great experience for me, man.
That's something really cool. It was a passion thing. I'm super bummed Jack left. That's still, I can't believe it's almost been a year. Fuck.
Yeah.
Like, that was so shocking. It's funny, these first stories we're talking about, that was the 80s, late 80s, 90. That was over 30 years ago anyways. I've been tattooing 40 fucking years somehow.
Yeah.
That's insane. I've been in a shop since 87. And again, I'm not saying that that makes me great. That don't mean shit. Some guys' tattoos is like it's day one, I remember giving that compliment to somebody. Or, I think Daniel Albrigo did it. He was being a smart ass. This guy was sitting there all full of himself doing a guest spot in here and just saying how great his tattoo was. And Daniel's like, yeah, old school, just like day one, patting him on the shoulder. And he was basically insulting the guy and telling him, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
It's like you haven't learned shit in your 10 years, But, even all that shit's crazy. I know guys that really don't tattoo that great that I'd still get tattooed by because they're fucking great characters.
Dude,
and it's,
thank you. Because sometimes it's not about the tattoo, it's about the experience. It might be just sitting down with the guy that can spin a good story.
Sometimes, yeah.
And
yeah.
you know what? You might get a tattoo, but the fucking experience blows the doors off the tattoo. That to me is, I think, I would like to see that come back into full swing, man, and get less of the guys that are wearing the headphones and not talking to their clients and whatever. I mean,
it's got to be out there. Yeah, it's out there. Of course it is. Yeah. There's just so much,
I know that you spent that time at Tattoo Land, and then after that, you kind of started to do traveling, right? Like you got more into traveling around.
Well, Dick introduced me to the traveling thing, and then in 89, 90, I'm working at Tattoo Land. Tell you the truth, Jack was gone all the time. So when Jack was there, I'd be in there, and Dick Warsaki really taught me a good work ethic. He was probably the hardest working dude there. He would work all the time. So I'd go do my noon to midnight shift and work all fucking day. Problem is, Jack would show up for his 8 o'clock appointment around 9:30, 10, and then get started on around midnight or 1. And you think I'd go home if Jack was there? Fuck no.
Right.
I'd stay up. And I'd stay up till 6 in the morning, drive home, and go, fuck, I got to come back here in 6 hours. At least then I had enough in me. I knew Jack was rad. I didn't know he was what he was as I know what he is today. Jack's this great thing. And that's to me, because already, like I said, that big flip, the doubling of masses, it makes me cringe, but there's a ton of people that eventually aren't even going to know who Jack is. I met some motherfuckers 10 years ago that didn't know who Philip Liu was. he was walking around the Ink and Iron show, and he looked like the good Keep on Trucking man, little hippie walking around. I'm like, Philip, Corey, hey, like, oh my God, one of my favorite tattooers in the fucking world. Again, only met him a few times in my life and hung out with him a few times in my life, but super solid. I mean, yeah, he's just one of my favorite tattooers in the world.
Who is your favorite tattooer of all time, if you have one?
Ooh, I don't know. I guess Philip, Jack Rudy, and Mark Mahoney's work was so amazing coming up. Jack was like a genius, and Jack did weird, different. Like his art was just so far out in imagination. Mahoney, at the time, Mahoney's like pinups and tech were so fucking good. And again, it's just because those are the people I know. I don't know. I would just have to say those first people I met.
Okay.
You know, I love Mark Mahoney and our history. I mean, Mark had a weird history, man. When I found the LA Ink thing, and this isn't a bad thing or ever bugs Mark, but we're cool now. But when I got on TV, he didn't like that at all. All these guys, Jack was pissed off, talking shit. That really hurt my feelings.
Okay.
And I'm like vulnerable, like that high school feeling of, you know, when you're not cool or you don't fit in. It felt like such a thing like that. But also the fact of that thing I was saying earlier, that I kind of felt like an outsider because I never apprenticed. By the way, neither did either of those guys. I mean, if Jack apprenticed from Charlie, what were they learning in the 70s? No disrespect. You know I love Charlie. He's like their family to me.
Right.
All those guys. And they can't hurt you if you don't love them, you know. But I'd have to say, and I don't even know why Philip, I got tattooed by him once. He just had this thing about him. That I think Philip Blue's probably one of the greatest tattooers I've ever met. Okay. And Jack Rudy was the one that told me to go get tattooed from Philip. So there's Jack. Of course, Suzanne was one of my favorites, and she died. She died 25 years ago, and I'll always know that because my daughter. I found out I was going to have my middle daughter at Suzanne's funeral. So her name's Suzanne.
Yeah,
so
right on.
Of course. Yeah, it's just those guys, you know, probably, you know, Bob, Roberts, Mahoney, Jack Rudy. They're my favorites, but Philip Blue is an essence of it. You know, I've met Horiochi before.
Right.
You know.
Let's get into the LA Ink thing, man. I mean, like, when it was presented to you, what was going through your head at that time? Were you just like, nah, fuck that?
Well, everybody was all fucking tripping on it. I remember when it happened, it was Miami Ink that was happening. I was like, whoa, they got Garver. Oh, that's fucking rad. Chris Garver is like one of, again, I have so many favorite tattooers. I think of Garver. He's one of my favorite tattooers. Tim Hendricks was a great fucking guy, a great tattooer. Tom Tilden. I have so many friends. And I shouldn't start naming people because there's too many.
Right.
You know?
But
Hanky Panky's a godhead. We share. Hank's one of our fucking treasures.
Yeah.
You know.
No, but I mean, like,
it's like Hardy. You know.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, when a Cat or producers.
Yeah. What happened? Oh, Kat called me and said, "Hey, Corey," and I knew Kat Von D was on there, and I knew who she was. That was a weird one. I remember we're at Mark Mahoney's, one of Mark's grand opening parties or some shit, and Kat Von D was there. I happened to have a camera on me, a real camera. I had a girl at the time and everything, and it was nothing weird, but Kat would just look like a real pinup. And I seen her, and I just thought she was nothing weird or anything. I only say nothing weird because what would future come out of that? I saw her, and I go, "Hey, do you mind if I take your picture?" I just thought that was weird, and I'm not even a photographer.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Sure." And just click, and she was so, and the picture was blurry. I never showed off because it never came out good. But that's what I remember of Kat. And she knew who I was, and I didn't know that. Months later, I seen her tattooing. I said, "Fuck, you're really good." She said, "Well, yeah, I'm good. Would you think I was just some cute girl?" And well, yeah. And no insult. So we barely met each other a couple times. I didn't know, coming up around here, a lot of people knew me.
Right.
Not just because I worked for Jack, but in the 90s, I got into drawing tattoo flash. I drew flash in 91, 92, 93, 94. That shit went everywhere. That was when people were selling flash, and it looked similar to Jack Rudy.
Okay.
And I'm under the wing of Jack Rudy, so in a sense, I was in good graces.
Yeah.
I remember being at a show where they were fucking people up. It was Ace's place in Florida, some show, and some asshole Cam was out running his mouth, and Ace beat him up. And then the rumor was any young tattooers are going to get their ass kicked. They better stay in their hotel rooms or they're going to get fucked up. I'm like, man, fuck that. I came out from California. I'm like, I'm going to go out. My friends are like, going out there, and I get it. I don't want to go walk in this stupid shit.
Right.
But I was like, fuck this. Fuck this. I ain't playing this fucking game. And fuck that. I've been tattooing for 7 fucking years.
Right.
But I'm still a new dude. And then again, that outcast. Well, I never apprenticed. I'm a fucking scratcher. Well, so I say, fuck it, but I'm also not a pussy, and I like fucking going and partying, and I can fucking drink, and I'm going to go out and get high, and Dick Rosaki was there, and some of my friends, and I'm not going to let them say, oh, what'd you do Saturday night? Oh, I stayed in the hotel like a little girl. I also, even back then, looking back now, I realized that guy was probably a total asshole, but even then I was thinking that guy was probably being a dick. That's probably why he got beat up.
Right. They're not just going to kick somebody's ass.
So I go down to the bar, and sure as shit, dude, this old-timers dude starts talking shit. Because they're older guys like us, and they hear this shit, fuck with those dudes, and this guy just goes right at me, dude. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? I remember the first time I heard that, you're the demise of our fucking business. You're what's ruining it. And I go, hey, dude, I didn't fucking ruin shit. And that's all I said. And he was back then, them dudes would come out, it doesn't matter what you say.
Yeah.
It's wrong. The old biker type of dudes.
Yep.
Anyways, Louis Lombi, he was a tattooer from Florida, old school guy, great guy. Not a lot of people knew him, it seems, but anyways, Louis Lombi knew me because he knew Jack, and I got to meet all these people Jack knew because I was working for Jack at times, and I traveled with Jack a few times. So Louis Lombi tells this guy, hey, Corey's cool. He works for Jack, and the guy's all right. So he just leaves me alone. So we sit down, I fucking start drinking, have a couple drinks, and he starts talking to me, and I'm talking to him, and he's just schooling me, just seeing if I'm going to take his shit. And of course I'm going to take it. 1, he was way bigger than me. 2, he's a peer, and I don't want to be some fucking weasel, and I understand the pecking order.
Right.
You know? So anyways, we sat down, and after a while we leave, and he's all right, hey, man. I go, hey, man, it was really nice to meet you. He goes, yeah, good to meet you, too. You fucking be cool, Will. And he had knew about my tattoo flash. Once he started talking, well, you're that guy. Mm-hmm. So, and Louis was telling him about my flash. My flash did really good back then. It was bootleg more than I ever sold any. That was a good sign. Well, I remember at the end, and it reminds me of like a lot of the kids today, kids or younger people, whatever, anybody, even adults can do it. I just kind of, I don't know why I said this. I go, well, it was nice to meet you anyway. He said, what do you mean anyway? And I just fucking ruined the whole hour of peace. What do you mean anyways? I go, well, you seemed all pissed when I met you. I go, I know. I go, but I don't want you to like me just because I work for Jack. And he goes, well, that's all you fucking got. And he yelled at me. I go, okay, point taken. And then he shook my hand.
Right.
And he was cool. Never seen that guy again in my life. I don't know who the fuck he was.
I was going to ask you if you knew who. Wow.
Nope. Don't even remember his fucking name. But again, what I'm saying, like, reminds me of today. A lot of people these days will get all pissed because they hear these salty guys are strangers they've never even met talking shit about, well, the way it used to be. It's kind of hard because a lot of those guys, some of them are my friends. Don't fucking check them. You want to fucking test them, go test them. A lot of them aren't wealthy enough to not punch you in the fucking mouth, if you're a disrespectful asshole. But on the same hand, if you listen to all these motherfuckers tell you what you can and can't do, again, that's your fucking problem. Like, dude, grow a little bit, rebel a little bit, go do it. It's like, yeah, thank you for your advice, but I'm going to move forward and do what the fuck I want to fucking do.
Well, you got to
That's what this shit's about.
Fail on your own merit or succeed on your own merit.
Yeah. I just would have felt bad if I wouldn't have fucking went out. And a couple of my friends didn't go out.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they felt or not. They might be introverted enough to not give a shit. They lasted. So they still tattoo. I still tattoo. It's just one way of looking at things.
So you got a lot of pushback, though, about being on that show?
Oh, yeah, LA Inc.? Yeah. I remember for Jack one night, we were fucking going back and forth 3 hours and just talking. No, Holmes like telling me what I could and couldn't do. And I'm like, man, and he still would fuck with me till, yeah, Holmes, you fucked up when you stopped working for me. I'm like, yeah, of course I did, Jack. Here, loan me $50. Like, just fucking with him right back. But he's fucking with me.
Right.
Jack loved me.
Yeah.
Jack was proud as fuck of me.
Look.
You know what? It was funny. I was at it wasn't a funeral, but Jack had planned this fucking 50-year anniversary for Tattoo Land. He died like 6 days before. It was fucked. It was just good timing, though. Everybody showed up, and all these people were there. And his older daughter, Vanessa, was there. I don't know if it was Vanessa. It was his daughter. She was I was talking to her and I was giving her a hug and shit. And she told me that 28 years ago at my grand opening, well, I told her, I said, I have pictures of you when you were a little girl in my shop. She goes, I know, I remember. I go, you do? She goes, yeah. She goes, my dad never took me to any of that shit. I go, really? She goes, but I remember that day, he said, you can come with me to Corey's grand opening. He's a good guy, and you'll be safe there.
Nice.
And Jack also knows I go hard, and I partied hard. And my old shop, there was a notorious shootout that was there and all this crazy shit. But he also knows I'm a good motherfucker, and I love my kids.
Right.
Actually, I didn't have kids yet, so I don't know where that compliment came from. But it's pretty cool. I got it from him after he was dead, from his daughter. But it made me feel really good. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
No, man, but it's part of your story, dude. I think there's people from the outside that like to hear that kind of stuff because they only know Jack from how they know Jack. And they only know you from maybe like...
Well, yeah, and I could be proud of having hardcore motherfuckers and the old stories about the shootout that happened and the seedy shit that goes on. But it really warmed my heart that his daughter, he took the time to tell his kids, you can come to me to Corey's opening because Corey's a good guy and you'll be safe around there. That really, it's the opposite of everything we admire and the tough guy bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, the seediness. It was just pretty cool. Pretty cool compliment.
With that show, was it a lot of it scripted?
No, we never read a script. Let's see, I don't know how to explain it because I just kind of didn't pay attention. My whole theory with that, you were trying to ask me about that. Kat just called me after, she called me and I tattooed her on Miami ink.
Okay.
I went out there and I did her 10 years of tattooing anniversary on her leg. That was fun. But even at that time, I was like, oh, these guys are the enemy. Everybody hates it. So, Corey, they'll buy you a ticket. They'll give you a room and everything. Fuck that. Can I just crash in your room? Bought my own ticket, crashed in Kat's hotel. I look back and think, well, I should have just took the fucking money, took the fucking ticket. Well, because that was the enemy. It was Miami Ink, and everybody's talking all their shit.
And then years
So
later,
he's hating on it.
Enemy.
Well, I figure if I'm going to go on my own terms.
Yeah,
but this is a large thing. I'll go do my thing. So Kat was going to blow up. It was big, and Kat fucking hit me up, said, hey, would you come help me? So it was kind of scripted, but not. The way I could say it was scripted, to be honest, like when they came out here and she came and says, hey, I'm going to come out and I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to ask you to come work for me. Just like when you called me to ask me like to do this.
Yeah.
Let's not talk first because we'll blow up all the good shit. So Kat knew enough about that, and she said, "Oh, we'll talk then." And I knew it was she was going to ask me if I wanted to come be on the show. Of course, I knew who was going to do it. There's fucking cameras there, right. But you're sitting there trying to pretend, you don't.
Yeah, I got you.
That's why Jackie said, "Motherfuck the show," or Bob Roberts too. Fuck that show. I'll go on that show and I'll fucking take a hammer and I'll bash them fucking cameras in. I'm like, yeah, sure, Bob. They're gonna invite you right now. Like,
yeah.
Well, thanks for the warning. I remember as that was going on too. I remember one time going into Bob Roberts and Bob gave me a bunch of shit. He just reamed me in front of everybody. Lil Ray. Fucking Baby Ray. Ratted me out. I was like, yeah, Corey's here, Bob. Just got to talk to you. And I'm like, yeah, he's going to tell you. I guess he could be doing that. Oh, he'll tell you. So he just feeds me to the wolves. And Bob's like, oh, really? Yo, you going to go on there like Garver, huh? Going to have 8 motherfuckers telling you what to do every fucking day. Ooh, you want to be famous like Snoop Doggy Poo Poo. Ooh, look at me. I'm famous. Bob talking shit to me.
Nice.
And this is after I've known Bob since I was a kid. So this is like the first Bob's ever even been rude to me directly. I'm like, fuck. I go, hey, whatever, Bob. You know what? Yeah, I saw that show. I saw a premiere and there's some purple hair on there and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Bob, in all honesty, the first time I ever seen a purple haired motherfucker was like here in the 80s. He's all, well, fair enough. But yeah, whatever. And he told me all this shit and bitched at me about all this shit. And I didn't know nothing about it. And he was right about all of it. Because he's in Hollywood and he knows that game. And Bob would do that shit too if they paid him enough. And goddamn right, they should pay him the fucking ton. They should have, But Bob's old school and he says he doesn't do that shit. Those guys are old carnies. Everybody does anything for dough. Doesn't mean they're sellouts. It's just the fucking way it is. Because I've had tons of people walk and say, oh, I would have never done that. Well, guess what? They didn't ask you. And I'm not saying this shit just off the top of I fucking know these people. They've told me. Lyle Tuttle, Shit. That fucker, dude, he was so proud of me and fucking talked to me about things. He always thought we made a ton of money on that shit. The shit he would say was fucking, he would talk to you like a smart investing grandpa. You know, around the other people, yeah, I agree with it. Oh, it's all this and that. Fucking, Lyle loved that shit. It just brought it up bigger. That's why everybody fucking back in the day, Sailor Jerry hated Lyle Tuttle. Why? Because Lyle was on the cover in Rolling Stone. That's it.
Right.
That's why, because they were fucking jealous. Sailor Jerry would hate Sailor Jerry right now if that was true. And of course that's impossible but in that, it's just that whole fucking vibe.
Yeah, but the only other part that I don't want to really get into the show that much, but the other part that I think that is interesting, and there might be people that are going to watch this right now that don't know that you had your shop still the whole time.
Oh yeah, my shop's 28 years old. I drove. They asked me to do that. It was a scripted no, but they would give us a piece of paper. I might as well tell people if they're really interested. They would give you like a bunch of tattoos. Kat would usually go through them and pick any celebrity or anybody that was hip, and they would feed them to Kat, which was cool. Sometimes we got to do some celebrity people, but big fucking deal. I mean, I tattooed James Hetfield years ago. Like, I'm not saying that in a braggy way. I'm saying it in a joke. I've already tattooed the coolest motherfucking rock star in the world. I got to meet Lemmy in there. Lemmy was in there getting tattooed by Kat Von D. And it's funny when people say, oh, fuck them shows, fuck that shit. I'm like, yeah, fuck you. I got to meet Lemmy. That was fucking awesome.
Right.
And I met Dave Grohl in there. That was cool. I know this, I think some of the old school guys would probably rather hear me talk and not talk about it, or I don't know what they think. All I know is it was a fucking great experience. Mark, again, hated on that shit, but Mark was all about that. Mark loved nothing more than celebrities walking in the door. Mark is the Hollywood celebrity tattooer.
And he's also done movies.
Fucking kidding me. And the movies.
Right. So.
When that was a whole nother thing of that. Yeah, Mark was really tried to act so bummed when I did that. Then I found out he was just bummed because they were trying to do it. They were filming pilots. And I ain't ratting nobody out. It's all on the internet. You can find it all. And it's just like the same way with Mark telling me to stop in the beginning. Doesn't mean I don't fucking love the guy. Sure, that shit hurts your feelings and shit, but nothing slowed me fucking down anyways. Jack did the same shit about the TV stuff. But back to it. Nobody tells me what the fuck to do.
Right.
Not being a dick. I respect shit. And it's not like I was going and doing something horrible. They asked me to go tattoo on TV. I wasn't teaching nobody shit. And my fucking thing was to ignore the cameras and do it. And they would bring you the tattoos. You'd pick, I'll do this one, I'll do this one. I'm working with Hannah Atchison, beautiful, kindest, sweetest person. Kim Say, I had tattooed her 18 years before. I knew Kim and Hannah. I barely knew Kat.
Right.
Kat treated me golden. So, sorry guys, I'm in Hollywood with 3 beautiful girls. And then there's Pixie, who's just this fucking... She's just the sweetest. If I was ever in a bad mood, just go hang around Pixie for 2 minutes and you're in a good mood.
Right. Dude.
So, anyways, I got paid a little bit. I don't even mind talking about that. The guys in Miami, they were smart. Ami and they all stuck together. And I'm pretty sure they ended up making, it's not no big secret. Garver's always been open about that. I think they ended up making like $3,000, like on a reality show. They'll pay you $600 a day. Same as a cameraman. It's non-scripted. I don't need to make excuses, but sometimes it's hard when people think, oh, you're one of them rich guys. Oh, fuck you. I'm fucking rich with my fucking life and my children. I got shit I've tattooed for and cool shit. I did not get rich off TV. I made $600 a day. They will play that show 1 million times. I will never get a residual. I made $3,000 an episode. So for all you guys that are wondering, I got a lot more money after I quit because they tried to sue me. And I said, fuck you, you're not, they were trying to feed us lines, trying to get me to act. So I said, give me SAG. This is a quote, give me SAG, I'll go get a rubber knife, dip it in ketchup, and go in there and stab that bitch right in the neck. And no, I wasn't talking about Kat. I was talking about one of the helpers, because she was just this annoying fucking moron actress who was probably getting paid way more than me. You got to know the game.
Right.
And Kat even told me, Corey, get an agent. Do this shit. And I was like, no, let's just stick together like Ami did and not come out of the room until they pay us all $10,000 each. Those guys in Miami were getting $10,000 a week. Dude, that's life-changing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's 3 times as much as I was making. Yoji was making 10 grand a week because Ami stuck by the tattooers and came and said, we're not doing it, all or nothing. Well, Kat just went up to here and we kind of stayed down here. So I kind of got the girls like, hey, let's rebel and let's not come out of the trailer until they pay us, the proverbial trailer. By the time we're ready to do that, I'm talking to Kim and Hannah, Corey, they fired us. I go, what? Oh, I wonder if I'm fired.
Wow.
So I call back and the cat's like, no, you're safe. And I'm like, well, this is weird. What do you mean they can't fire Hannah? Are you fucking like, she's one of the greatest tattooers. She's an amazing tattooer. And Kim's amazing. But that's how it went. They were just done with them. I don't know all the politics. I heard all kinds of weird shit about that.
Yeah.
So I used to go through shit. Then they were turning into a weird show and they were scripting it in the way, there was a blonde girl on there and she would come in and act stupid. So I just committed to treat her like she was in your shop. If fucking Soph came in here acting like a moron, I'd fucking tell her. The only difference is that she would learn something. The little blondie wasn't learning shit. And then they started manipulating the filming with editing and made us look like liars. I remember one time, and nobody knows this on the people don't even know what I'm talking about. But there was a couple times that they made me look like I was lying, and this is why I was into it. And I remember telling the producer, I go, motherfucker, get out of my truck. I'm gonna fucking hit you.
Right.
And that's how I got so into it. I took it serious. I shouldn't have. I should have got an agent like Kat said. That's why Kat made them motherfuckers run circles. That's why she got paid. This is when you act like a fucking crazy person in Hollywood, you elevate. If you're down to earth, you get walked on. So, fine. Here's the other thing. I would do it again.
Okay.
After all this shit. For one, who gets the chance to show the world your portfolio?
Right.
Most of the people liked me from what I heard. I didn't get any fucking bad. I remember back then, that was, by the way, dude, that was like 17, 18 years ago. I think I was counting, I got like 7 hate mails. And they were, you got 700 hate mails? They were so excited. They thought it was awesome interaction. I go, no, 7. Oh, 7? I go, like, oh my God, the fact that you guys are, fuck you guys.
Disappointed.
And Kat, she had tenfold of everything because she played into all that. And good for her. She's a fucking very wealthy person.
I don't think, I mean, I watched it here and there. It wasn't like something I watched faithfully. I don't remember going, oh, he seems like, he's cool or not cool. Like, I don't remember having that opinion. I remember there being a couple times where you looked annoyed.
Yeah, and I probably just do. I mean, I've heard I would watch myself and I'd say, yeah, I look pissed.
Yeah.
But it's just my look. I look serious.
It's the same thing I get all the time.
Yeah.
People are like, why? You always look like you're pissed off. I'm like, I can't help it. I got resting bitch face.
Yeah. Well, I was annoyed a lot because there was fake shit going on. And they would try to get you all pumped up.
Right.
But the other part of it was fun, man. I remember watching people walk in there with this dark aura around them. And then you tattoo them and you fucking help them and they get through it. And like I said, going to Bob Roberts that day after Bob gave me all this shit, there's this one jackass thinks he's going to talk to me like Bob just did. He's lucky I didn't fucking smack him. And if he had any salt, he should have swung on me because I touched his hair and told him how good he would have looked on TV. He's like, oh yeah, you're on these. This is after Bob fucking Reamsby. So this little Italian fucker, I think his name was Marco, some jackass. He probably still tattoos. He was a good artist. But he wants to fucking talk shit to me. He said, oh yeah, where I come from in Italy, it's a crime to tattoo. That's the stupidest shit I ever fucking heard. I go, yeah, if you maybe stab a motherfucker in the neck, right. Tough guy, me asshole. Just because Bob just did it, I've been fucking loving that guy since I was 15. Fuck you. I ain't going to take shit from you, punk. Right. Even in your own shop.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, fuck you. And I go, he's talking all this shit. He's like, yeah, with these stupid shows now, everybody wants to fucking tell you their story and talk to you. I took so much offense to that. And fine, people, if you want to don't talk to your people, fine. But this wasn't your and my conversation. But it was mine and this motherfucker's conversation. He tells me, and I go, what'd you say? You don't want to talk to people? And I look at this girl, and we're right in the lobby of fucking Bob Roberts' tattoo shop. I go, well, you don't want to talk to this young girl and have her tell your story? I go, fuck, I'll talk to you. I'll tattoo you too. Right. I'm looking, I go, you don't want to talk to these people? And I looked at him, I go, why don't you go home and paint? And then my buddy Juan had told me that he fucking had tried out for that show. I didn't know, dude. I thought they just picked me. I found out later they interviewed like 40 or 50 motherfuckers for that show.
So then fucking the people
Well,
that were
this
talking
guy
shit were
not
jealous.
only was talking shit, he wrote in and did a treatment. And I didn't even know what a treatment was. But Juan told me about that. Guy told me, yeah, he did a treatment for the show. Juan interviewed for the show. Juan thought he was going to be on LA Inc. I was rooting for him. Somewhere in our emails was like, hey, bro, good luck.
So at
back and forth.
some point then, some of the pushback was just fucking straight up jealousy.
Oh, well, not some point. You hit it right on the head.
Right, right.
See, now I'm going up to fucking Canada around Dave Shore. I mean, you want to fucking talk about a real fucking bona fide pirate. That's Dave Shore and Hanky Panky. Them motherfuckers love me. They've never said nothing bad. But I seen other people, like I saw them, he wrote a book one time, wrote some shit about Kat Von D, and it wasn't too good. And I was like, oh, fuck, what do you say about me? And it was nothing but good. And I've asked them, and I'm not trying to put out my thing, and I asked them straight up, it's like, why ain't you mad at me about it? He said, well, you never talk shit about nobody, Corey. I said, you ain't teaching people. And California and America is such a hater fucking community. Europe's not really like that.
See, and I don't really know too much about the West Coast vibe and all that. I mean, I'm getting my little taste of it now. But, you know, I think that's pretty much everywhere, though, dude. Like, you know, there's always going to be haters no matter what.
Yeah, and you know what? Goddamn, there's so many times I always think, you know, don't talk about nothing negative. Like even Mark, I don't even know if Mark watches TV or stuff like this. I think Mark would understand me enough because I love Mark. I wish nothing but good. But it's just the truth. And if I would say it any fucking different, I'd be full of shit because he was the guy, oh, don't get into this business. This is the business is holding back. So that's jump forward 40 years. Some of you new motherfuckers, you even got an art degree and you're worried about some dude with half your talent telling you the way fucking shit. Dude, you can't fucking buy experience. You can't buy acceptance unless you buy a master tattoo license from Beaver Duck. I fucking love that guy.
Dude.
Him and Jesse and all this shit they put out there. You know, sometimes even me, I can laugh, and I was on the show. You think, dude, I'm just as guilty. There's a lot of motherfuckers that hated us for doing that. But you know what? I got thick enough skin to realize I can still only tattoo 1 or 2 people a day. So I ain't sucking up all the business. But yeah, it probably did influence a lot of people because come out and say, fuck, I could do that. Or I could do it even better. And that's what it looks like.
You know what, Corey? Here's the thing, man. Not to cut you off.
Not at all. Not at all. You need to sometimes. I just keep rambling. Yeah.
I think that the people that have issues with some of the shows, and maybe even now with like Ink Master, is
that's a whole nother ball of wax. I don't even watch that shit.
Is that the early guys, and I actually talked to Good Time Charlie about this yesterday after we did the interview, but I said, you know, man, back when you guys were doing it and you're getting your hustle in, it was about feeding your family, paying rent, paying my guys. It wasn't about, I'm going to be the next Kat Von D. I'm going to be a rock star tattooer. It was just about, I love the craft. I love tattooing. I want to just pay my bills. Now, there were some, obviously, you know, caveats to that, Lyle Tuttle, right? But I think a majority of it was...
What do you mean, Lyle Tuttle?
Because I think Lyle was, you know, with going on Rolling Stone, like he was trying to push his image forward.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
it was the same thing for that time.
Right.
That was huge, you know?
So, but now I think it's got this thing where the newer people that are coming up are striving for that. And I think that annoys some of the old school guys.
Well, yeah. And as much as at peace with I am at it, and as much as I'm encouraging you, even though I don't know some of you, to just move forward and
do your thing.
Don't let that shit bring you down. Some of you were full of shit. Some of you motherfuckers got your fucking degree and came in and I'm going to be a tattooer and I'm going to fucking do this and follow these things. And I expect this fucking vision that really was never even fucking true. And it's biting you in the ass right now because of the saturation of the business and people aren't bending over to fucking or bowing down to get tattooed by you. No one ever has, dude. What fucking pinnacle am I in? My heroes are fucking Gil Monty and fucking Hank, and I mean, except for in the tattoo industry, these guys are godheads, but in life, almost predators, some of them, and fucking at times, you know? I mean, how do you give this, how do I think they might be expecting too much of it. Again, it's just an opinion. What I'm saying shouldn't sculpt anything except but what you learn off it by experience. And that's coming from somebody who didn't apprentice, who didn't go to art school, who was hanging out in a place to hang around with degenerates because I was probably fucked up and I needed to escape.
Yeah.
And I needed to go vandalize and break shit. And that's why Franco liked me. Franco, I remember being that kid and saying, I'd really love to see that fucking bitch's windows gone.
Right.
And the next day they were gone.
Yeah.
And these crazy bastards will do anything I say.
So the other,
what does that have to do with tattooing?
The other part of it though is you just brought them up, right? Like Beaver Duck and Jesse doing the school and all that.
Yeah.
So that's the other part of it though, that these guys get pissed off is because there's people out there 5, 6, 7 years tattooing, and then they're opening up tattoo schools and trying to tell people how to tattoo. And they're like, the old heads are like, you have no business fucking even doing that.
They're making fun of it. Yeah.
You know, if you're, 15, 20, 25 years in, maybe.
True. Oh, no, they definitely have a point. Yeah. These schools are so fucking insane, you know. It's, and that's a shame, too. A lot of the guys that are teaching don't know shit.
Well, here's a guy.
That's most of them.
I'm not going to mention his name, okay? He actually put a video out, and this is what started the whole thing with Beaver Duck and Jesse. Puts a video out. Apprenticeships are bullshit. You don't need that fucking shit. It's all bullshit. But what he fails to tell you is behind the scenes, he has an online tattooing school doing his thing. So he's basically selling his product by bad-mouthing fucking a tradition.
Yeah. And see, there's even a part of me that's like, yeah, go get him, you fucking carny bastard. It's all part of the hustle. I don't know which guy you're talking about. It's kind of a love-hate thing. You almost get it, but I guess the only way we learn in life is if we're stupid enough to fucking listen to some of that shit and then grow and realize, you know what, I'm in charge.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's going to make these decisions. And you know, one thing I don't want to be, it's funny, I don't like being, and it's happened a couple times, and I don't, again, I'm saying that I'm doing the same thing I'm saying people shouldn't do. Why do I care what these fucking strangers think about me? But it's kind of a bummer when new school people will come up and they'll expect you to be, oh, you're older, you've been around, so you think I'm an asshole. It's like, no, I don't.
Right.
It's like, not at all. Like,
if you're cool,
I don't even do drugs or nothing. Well, that's awesome. Keep it up. Oh my God.
Right.
I wish I didn't.
But see that the mentality's fucked up.
Well,
because but
then there's a bunch of dudes in my game, or maybe guys with half my talent, that want to act like that. Yeah, you shouldn't be tattooing. There's enough of us, or you're doing it wrong. It's like, oh, shut up, But I'm pretty passive. I'm a very passive, easygoing motherfucker. And like I said, the punk rock scene was that anybody can play. But then you get into those scenes, and then all of a sudden, no, these are the cool guys, and oh wow, you're turning into jocks inside our own community, and I don't know, Again, I'm just a different flavor. I'm one flavor. I might have common ideas with certain people, but sometimes other people got extreme. None of us are alike. Some of our shit's going to be common, and you as an interview. Or it's probably really easy to agree with people all the time, but you really shouldn't. I mean, you should let them say it, but say, oh, that's cool, but I think this way.
Right.
Yeah, and then I do think the same way.
Right.
That's more interesting and it's more honest.
Right.
You sit there and bullshit, and eventually in time, it all comes out.
So anybody that's watching this is going to say that everything I've said today is shit that I've been preaching. Like, I want to try.
You're consistent.
I want to try to bridge that gap where it's like, I appreciate all the new hot shit, but I also...
Yeah, dude, because we're all going to croak anyways, dude. Fuck, dude. Right. Like, who's going to carry the ball?
So the thing is, though, is these new fantastic artists in 10, 15 years are going to be in the same spot that the new people are going to come in, and they're going to be bitching about them.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that for a second. Think about how, it's the old saying of treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah. Dick Warsaki was the one that told me that. I probably would have been this way anyways. It's just that those words really came into me and I accepted them really well.
Right.
And I can agree with it and remember it. And he says, yeah, I see all these old motherfuckers fucking with you youngsters. He goes, you're gonna remember me when you're older. I go, yeah, you were cool. And he's all, yep.
Yep.
And now Dick though was the most. He had some fucking a dark, real code of ethics. But he didn't push it on anybody. That was his code.
Yeah.
You know, it goes back to the biblical shit, the real biblical shit. Not fucking judging everybody. Fucking lead by example, which can go both ways.
Right.
You treat people this way and you do good business, you keep your word, do good. Your example is you do all this good shit, but you did way too many fucking drugs and then you die. Well, there's an example. Or you took care of yourself. I admire the fuck out of sober people. You know, we were talking about punk rock earlier and Social Distortion. One of my favorite bands. I met Mike Ness one time. We were at the Velodrome, early 90s. Eric Mosky was there. Eric Mosky was a great tattooer. Probably my generation guy. But he was like, when I was coming up doing the Jack Rudy, the black and gray fine line shit, Mosky just totally embraced the old school tattoo. And Dave Gibson, he just lived it and breathed it. He's the one that had Tim Hendricks' shop.
Okay.
Tim Hendricks owns Eric Mosky's classic tattoo. Well, Eric was always sober, but Eric started doing drugs and he died pretty quick. And I remember telling him too, I go, bro, you ain't good at this shit. And I remember like having this vibe like, oh, what you like I was almost like, I don't know what his vibe was, but I thought he was reading it wrong, like you ain't good at getting loaded. And I was real tight with Mike Brown and he was hanging around Mike Brown. And sometimes you idolize the junkies and you idolize these people who are doing really bad shit. And sometimes that's really dangerous. But I wasn't telling Eric that, like you couldn't be in that club of being these seedy, dope fiend, talented artists who are my heroes and I look up to. I was just telling him, dude, you're really bad at this. You're like, you're like the ass end of one of Mike Brown's benders because I seen it.
Right.
I seen it.
Some people learn how to go hard.
And he
real
died.
quick.
He died from it. It fucking killed him.
Some people know how to go
And I
hard.
used to always admire his sobriety, you know, and I like that. But then again, I seen this shit the other day, just I think it was today on the internet, some young lovely girl talking about tattooing and, you know, why do these people have the need or who do they think they're to smoke weed and tattoo and like just... This probably, I don't know how long she's been tattooing, 2 years, 20 years, fuck whatever. But just imposing her shit on people. And it's funny that sometimes you don't even realize. Just let people do what the fuck they want to do. And if you don't want to go to someone that gets high, don't go to someone that gets high. Because I'm all over the place with this. I did Ink Master one time. And the irony was so insane. I was just a judge on there. I hated that show. Because they all turn on each other like little bitches, dude. Oh my God, if that was my show, they'd be in the back parking lot. Like I've told very few people that have worked for me, you know what? Fight, kiss, fuck, get it over with. Don't bring that shit in my fucking shop.
Right,
the way they bicker and talk to each other. It was like, dude, I mean, it would have been a better show if you let them really go at it. Or fucking, just like, dude, fucking, you guys turn on each other so bad. Well, one of these dudes, he was kind of a prick, but he was a good tattooer. And they caught him smoking weed. So they're all like, oh, they're all turning on him. And I'm like, you guys are fucked. And I was a judge, and we're in the back just hanging out. So, well, don't fuck him. He's smoking weed, and he's cheating. You're not supposed to do that. I go, this motherfucker right here, I ain't telling on you, but you're sitting there asking if he has some Valium, or saying he needed Valium, and he had some. And I'm like, have you got any more? like I asked him. And this motherfucker, because he's taking Valium so he don't freak out. And this guy's smoking weed. So I'm telling all these guys, you guys are all turning on him because he tattoos better than you. So why are you going to be pissed? Why do you want to kick him off the show because he's smoking pot? Do you know what you're telling the world? Again, this is just my weird opinion. I could be totally wrong. But by you saying this guy's smoking weed, you're going to kick him off. Why? Because weed makes you better at tattooing? Is that giving him an advantage over you? Do you get what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
But in reality, I'm sure there was some little fucking waiver on there that said don't smoke dope because it's a TV show and all that.
Yeah. Well, we said
on LA Ink, at the end of that shit, they had a whole blooper reel, like a 30-minute reel of me going outside to get high.
Jesus Christ.
And they never showed it on TV. And, you know, sorry if your kids are watching and there's someone's going to see this, but eventually they're going to be 18 and 20 and it'll be okay. Okay. It's just the fucking truth. It's just kind of funny. Did it make me any better? Fuck no. truth be told, if I could take a pill right now and stop using drugs and smoking and drinking, I would. But they haven't made that pill yet.
There you go.
And it would be great. I would have all this extra time on my hands, and I would be creative and blah blah blah. Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Before we wrap this up, man, I want to again thank you for hanging out with me, man.
Yeah, I hope it was good enough talk. You know, a lot of times I end up doing these things, and we talk about all kinds of shit except tattooing, and then I feel guilty. But we are tattooers, and you know what? This is my disclaimer. I'm not a fucking brush, and I'm not a palette. And if we weren't in this sport of tattooing humans, we wouldn't talk. Like I told that fucking Italian dipshit that was trying to fucking make me look bad in front of my mentor, Bob. Like, fuck you. Go home and paint. And I love painters, by the way. But just go home and paint if you don't want to talk to people. If you don't want to socialize and hear their problems. You know? It goes both ways with me. Trust me, I have had the luxury of having someone sitting in my chair when my fucking mind has gone south. And I got that person that's going to sit there and listen to me, and I'm just going to drop all my shit on them. Yeah. Most of the time they tell me, but I've always liked that.
I think that's the best part of it.
And I hope, thank you. I was just going to say, I hope that part at least never goes away.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of people say the headphones and this and that, you know, and...
Nah, man, I want to see...
Even seeing tattooers wear headphones and tattooing, that's what pisses me off.
Right.
Again, what if this guy gets up and just does this amazing masterpiece? Great. But I'd rather sit around and listen to fucking, you know, Eddie or like the new Eddie. I'm joking. Eric Perfect. Whenever he talks, he sounds like Philadelphia Eddie.
Dude,
and a lot of these guys, they say, oh, there's no characters anymore.
Yeah, there
and
is.
If that bugs you and you think, oh, fucking, it's not going to be, then fucking be a character. Or the guys like 20 years ago, it used to be different. And the guys used to be tough. Well, then start drinking and start fighting. Go out back and fight your clients once in a while. Dude, you ain't Bobby Shaw. And if you want to be, go ahead. Your reputation will get out there and it's cool. But all that tough guy shit, you know, I mean, it still happens.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, go do it. Be it. Right. You know, don't try to emulate it. Don't try to pretend you're something you ain't. But on the same hand, I was talking about the time I met Mike Ness. It's funny, as much as I am pro for people doing whatever they want, and then I'm also told people, hey, you should slow down maybe.
Yeah.
You know, but I was with Eric Mosky, and I had just gotten real high, and he says, hey, he walks me out, and he was friends with Mike Ness. And to me, Mike Ness was like a hero, like in punk rock and everything. To this day, still is. He's sticking to the core shit, and he's been through it, and I just like that guy. I like his music. I like his whole fucking image. It's always been
everything
a cool
about
thing.
him, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some shit that ain't good, but that's like with all of us.
You got to take the good with the
bad. But anyways, I remember one of these days I'd probably like to meet Mike again. I met his son and stuff, but I remember walking up and Eric's all, hey, Mike, this is Corey. He's a great tattooer, a good friend of mine. Eric held me on this high esteem and is introducing me to Mike. And I felt so ashamed of myself because Mike was clean and sober, and I'm just fucking a little pasty and high as fuck. And I shook his hand, and it's funny, that's one of the reminders that, you know, I know that shit ain't good for you. And at the time, I did a lot of way worse shit. But I was so embarrassed. And it's funny, that must have been 30 years ago. I'm still kind of embarrassed of myself.
Let me tell you something.
Because I went around him and did that, you know, and I was so high.
That's on you, though, because I guarantee you, if you were to ask him about that,
he probably wouldn't even remember.
So
no, but flash forward, and again, I'm dropping a name, but not for that right reason. I tattooed James quite a few times. I never hardly ever even post it when I tattoo on him. James from Metallica, and we were talking about sobriety earlier. Just think how hard it is for those guys to not, when they're surrounded, they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Yep.
And all that money, it just makes it harder. It doesn't mean, no, I could just go enjoy my life. No, dude, those demons never go away. Yeah. And then I'm talking to people, what demons? Like, cool. I guess you don't have those.
Right.
I do. I do. And and even though I do, I've raised 3 of the most beautiful kids. They're sane, they're happy, they love me, you know, and good life. But back to the things like with rock stars and stuff like that. It's funny, like James, the last couple times I tattooed him, I still get a little giddy, like, fuck, I get a little intimidated. Look, fuck, I'm not that good. Or why does he have me tattooing him? There's so many better tattooers. And I'm like an 11-year-old sometimes. I just say what's on my mind. And I remember saying that to James a while back, maybe last year. He's just like, looks at me, he's like, bro, I'm not the greatest tattooer or greatest guitar player in the world. You know, you don't have to be the greatest tattooer in the world. He's just, we got history. You're my friend. And I go, well, thank you. I go, but you are the greatest guitar player in the world. But I don't know. It's all good, man. You know, those things in our life when we get to do that, meeting people. I remember meeting Lemmy. That was fucking so cool, you know.
Yeah.
I just, but I just listed, 3 rock stars. It ain't about that, dude. I tattooed 1,000 to 1.
Right.
Famous people. I've met so many great people through tattooing. Great friends that I've tattooed one time, I've never seen in my life for years again. And then sometimes some that I've tattooed people that I've actually tattooed grandchildren. A dude, his son, and his grandchild. That's
awesome.
I know, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, man. Fucking Sailor Eddie, dude, when I interviewed him, Sailor Eddie Jr., there's a family, he's the 4th or 5th generation.
See, that's rad. Well, speaking of that, I'm thinking too, maybe my daughter will be able to carry on with some of these grandkids. My daughter, she smart kid. You know, my kids grew up, even when I was on TV tattooing, that's just what Dad did.
Right.
As they've gotten older, there's like, that's weird. It's so weird you were on TV. And I'm like so-and-so's mom thinks you're cool. I'm like, fuck you. I am cool, you little jackass. But my daughter, she went off to college and got a degree and came out during COVID and nothing was going on. I said, well, come down to the shop, answer the phone. She goes, well, you're supposed to be closed. I'm like, yeah, well, we're fucking up. We're fucking sneaking people in the back. So Chloe started coming down and just helping out. And she was a helper in here for 2 years. Again, and then all of a sudden she said she wanted to learn how to tattoo. I'm like, really? Like, wow, you should have said that before. But so I have my daughter's tattooing now.
That's awesome.
So maybe she'll be able to carry on, like, tattoo some of the great grandkids or something.
Yeah.
And does it matter? No. But as the human experience, if it makes me happy, good, you know? And we also got to remember these lives that we live on the internet. I don't know if people follow me too much. I go in spurts. Sometimes I don't do shit, but I've learned too, I got to kind of post more to keep relevant.
It's the new way.
It is. But you know what, man? All this shit you do without that thing, without the internet, fuck, dude, like the trips I've taken in Holland, I never do any of those stories. I should, and it's interesting, but then sometimes I sit back and I think this is good. And because when we die, we all get forgotten anyways, mostly. So we got to remember all this shit is about our personal experience in that moment. That's what's really fucking important.
Yeah.
And then as far as tattooing that we didn't talk about much, you know, to always try to get better, always try to do your best tattoos. You know?
So I feel like we had a pretty good, well-rounded conversation today.
Yeah.
And you know what? I didn't ask you the same fucking 100 questions you always get asked.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I probably didn't let you. I just keep rambling.
Nah, it's all good, man.
But hey, man,
I appreciate it.
I appreciate guys like you, you know, because you're carrying on our history.
Trying.
You know, and you know what? All these guys, these greats that's down in history, there was hundreds of them that will never even know who they were.
The local gods.
Just all the dudes that just know before the internet. Before there was Burt Graham, there's the Shaw family and these Rick Walters and these little names of dudes we knew from the Pike, but there was fucking 30, 40 dudes under them. And then all the dudes that'll never get any of this light that nobody ever knew about. And guys always talk about, oh, it was better when I was young. No, it's just, we were just more impressionable when we were young, and that's their story. Work on your fucking own story, man, you know?
That is the perfect way to end this, man.
Cool.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.